Zelensky refused or rejects Vladimir Putin's demands to hand over the whole of Donbas region in order to freeze the ongoing war. So guys, I want to use this opportunity to thank all of you for subscribing to Timo360. As at the time I was recording this video, the subscribers were around 930. Well, if you are still watching this video and you've not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing now. So what I'm going to do is, over the night, the issues that came up, I'm going to give you guys all the updates in this particular video. Well, let's get into the details. Zelensky again refuses to withdraw troops from Donbas in exchange for stopping the fight. This was reported by Reuters. Zelensky refused to hand over the entire Donbas territory to Russia in exchange for a peace agreement, Reuters writes, citing yesterday's conversation between Trump and Zelensky after the summit in Alaska. The president of Russia proposed a freeze for most of the front lines if Kiev troops give up all the entire Donbas region, and Zelensky rejected. Well, I just summarized the whole thing for you guys. So this is what Reuters said. So during the meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin in Alaska, Vladimir Putin suggested that Zelensky or the Ukrainians should hand over the whole of Donbas region in order for a freeze in the front lines. And Zelensky said, Trump, Oga, make you tell Vladimir Putin say that is not going to happen. By the way, yesterday too, the European Union came out with a statement and told us that, look, they are not going to agree to the demands of Vladimir Putin. They made that clear. And obviously, you all know who control Zelensky. I have said it multiple times in my video that Zelensky, sorry to say, he's working for somebody. Somebody is controlling Zelensky, by the way. Let's continue. So after the summit, I don't know why after the summit we are seeing all these issues arising. Initially, after the summit, the European Union said they agree to whatever happened between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. And you know, yesterday in the evening, all of a sudden, they came out with a press statement and they said, no, we don't agree with anything they said. I don't know why, but yesterday during some of my videos, I made it clear, or I read the statement that the European Union came out with. So this is what Estonia is also saying. I don't know why Estonia is invested so much into this one. I quite remember back in 2023, Estonia was very, very vocal. They have said it multiple times that Vladimir Putin have an ambition of recreating the Soviet Union. But I've said it multiple times that there is no evidence for that statement. I don't know why they keep saying that Vladimir Putin have an intention of recreating the Soviet Union. Well, let's go into details. Estonia Foreign Minister Magos demands that Trump not trust Putin. Putin did not make any concessions. He did not offer anything, not even a ceasefire. And our past experience shows that Putin should not be trusted. We need to verify what his real goals are. And judging by his words, he has not changed any goal of restoring the Soviet Empire. He demands more. Here, unfortunately, we are no longer talking about truce. So, Estonia Prime Minister is saying that Vladimir Putin shouldn't be trusted, especially Donald Trump shouldn't trust Vladimir Putin, because Vladimir Putin, his goals is to restore the Soviet Union. And I think why Estonia is interested in this is because, you know, Estonia was once part of the Soviet Union. Estonia, Latvia, all these countries, Romania, Ukraine, they were all once part of the Soviet Empire. But what Estonia Prime Minister is saying, it is completely unrealistic. I don't think Vladimir Putin will risk Russia's future to restore the old Soviet empire. It is almost impossible to restore back the old Soviet Union. How is Vladimir Putin going to achieve that? How? Conquering a big territory in Eastern Europe is not going to be easy. Remember that the Soviet Union was not established by force like many people think. Back then, it was an era of conquest. So there are many countries in the Soviet Union who willingly came to the Russians for protection, just like NATO. There are many countries, apart from the Baltic countries, who were forced to join the Soviet Union because of their strategic location. The likes of, I think, Latvia and Estonia, something like that. I think they are the only countries who were forced to join the Soviet. But there are many countries in the Soviet Union who joined willingly. So Russia didn't go around Eastern Europe basically forcing everybody or every member to join. No. Take a country like Estonia, for example. Take a country like Finland, for example. Finland sits right on the borders of Russia, very close to St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is an important country to the Russians. Yet, when the Russians when they invaded, there are some words I just don't want to use in my conversations, because I don't know why YouTube policies are very, very strict. Because one, they took down one of my channels, so I'm very, very cautious when using some words. When the Russians invaded Finland, look at Finland, a very small country compared to the Russians, or compared to Russia. When the Russians invaded Finland, they defeated the Finns in just 3 months, although Finland did extremely well back in 1939. It was between November or December 1939 to, January or February 1940. So it was just within the space of 3 months. The Russians defeated Finland. They could have conquered the whole of Finland if they wanted, but they decided to take some part of Finland and they left the rest for the Finns. So meaning, if the Russians had an interest in actually conquering the whole of Eastern Europe, they could have done that. After other countries joined them, they became more powerful. Look, even in Ukraine, look at how the Russians, or look at the years it has taken them in Ukraine. So how is Putin going to conquer the whole of Eastern Europe? That is not possible. I don't see that happening. I don't think it is feasible. Again, in the era that we are, it will be very difficult for Russia to get the necessary support to actually embark on that journey. It will be very difficult. Economy plays a key role in all these things. So who is going to support Russia? Economically. Think about that. How are they going to do this? By the way, let's continue. Perhaps we are already talking about an issue of territorial integrity. About the principles that in Eastern... let me take it again. Sorry, guys. Perhaps we are already talking about issues of territorial integrity. About the principle that in Europe, territories can be conquered by military force. And this is something Europeans cannot agree with. Well, let me remind Estonia Prime Minister that NATO did the same thing in Yugoslavia. Former Yugoslavia was invaded by NATO, perhaps his so-called Western Alliance. They went into Yugoslavia, bombarded Yugoslavia in 1999, divided Yugoslavia into two, made half Kosovo, and they made half Serbia. So you see, Serbia was not called Serbia. Serbia was once called Yugoslavia, but NATO went in, bombarded the whole country, then decided to divide the country into two. Just in 1999. So if Estonia Prime Minister is saying that territories in Europe can't just be conquered or can't just be attacked. You know, you've done it before. Perhaps the Russians did warn you in 1999 that you are setting a bad precedent. When NATO went to Yugoslavia in 1999, the Russians warned them that, look, what you are doing, you are setting a very bad precedent. Meaning, other countries are going to learn from what you are doing in Yugoslavia. Boom! In 2022, or is it 2023? 2022, the same thing happened again in Ukraine. So, you see, other countries have the right to condemn whatever Russia did in Ukraine. But I believe that NATO have no right to condemn Russia because they have done worse than that. Let's check. Take the invasions of NATO, compare that to what Russia has done. So perhaps, Estonian foreign minister, I think you need a reality check. By the way, let's continue. Therefore, what we must all do together is unite with Ukraine. But you're already united with Ukraine, aren't you? You're already sending Ukraine billions of dollars. Without NATO or European Union support, Ukraine still wouldn't be fighting. I've said this over and over again. That the Ukrainians don't have either the manpower, neither do they have the arms to stand the Russian army for a year. It is not possible. It is impossible. So already, Estonia, you need a reality check. You are already fighting on the front lines. Maybe you don't know. What we must all do together is to unite with Ukraine, because we know this front. I don't know why sometimes they write some of the statements like this without abbreviations. Because we know this front, the past. Okay, we know this from the past. We know this from the past. And they say front. Okay, well, I think it's a mistake. We know this from the past. Okay, from the Minsk agreement, but also, frankly, from the Munich Agreement of 1938. The agreement was said that we later learned that the aggressor seized more and more. Okay, what a Minsk Agreement, I can speak on that. By the way, the Minsk Agreement was violated by the Ukrainians and the Europeans, not the Russians, right? The Minsk Agreement, Minsk 1, Minsk 2, was supposed to protect Ukraine fully from any forms of attack from the Russians. Then you started violating the Minsk Agreement by attacking the ethnic Russians in Ukraine. So when it comes to the Minsk Agreement or violation of the Minsk Agreement, I don't think it came from the Russians. It was something that came from you, the Europeans or EU members. Okay, good. Let's go to the next news. By the way, well, if you are still watching this video and you are enjoying the video, please consider liking the video. The likes helps me a lot, because when you hit on the like, you are telling YouTube that you actually like the video, and YouTube will introduce the video to other people as well. So it is very, very important, and it takes great courage. It takes somebody who actually like you to watch your video up to this point. So if you are still watching the video up to this point, please let me know in the comment section, right? Just write yes in the comment section if you are still watching the video till now. If you are still watching the video, just write yes in the comment section. Let me know, you guys. Let me know. Just write yes in the comment section. Okay, let's continue. Chancellor Merz has already changed his stance and believes that the new Trump plan for reaching a peace agreement is much better than a ceasefire that Kiev and EU were demanding just yesterday. I don't know what to say again. You see, these guys, it's kind of like they are confused. They don't know what to say again. Just some few minutes ago, I told you guys that these guys were like, we don't agree. Now, these guys this morning, they are saying that, okay, we agree. By the way, this German Chancellor Merz is calling for the arrest of Vladimir Putin. Yesterday, this same guy was asking why didn't the Americans arrest Vladimir Putin when he came to Alaska. This same Merz guy is inviting Benjamin Netanyahu. And Netanyahu, remember, the same ICC has also declared him wanted. So why is Germany or their president or their chancellor, they call him chancellor, why is their chancellor asking for the arrest of a leader with